at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Is it Los Alamos? Is that not Area 51, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm pretty sure.
She worked at Area 51. What?
What the
With the news of the Cougar Collective officially being a part of Washington State, what does that exactly mean? Is the end goal to have universities helping fund the players actually coming and staying on campus?
NCAA 26 is going to come out, and it's going to have Angel Johnson on it. I want to hear what you think your speech should be, the overall. What's the catching out of the backfield? You know, give us what you think the game should be doing for you.
Washington State University officially announces the hiring of their new president, Elizabeth Cantwell, who will be starting on April 1st. We're going to get into this hire with Jamey Vinnick from CougFan.com. We also have new running back from South Dakota State University, Angel Johnson, on the episode. So make sure to stick until the end. And the sponsor of today's episode is CougFan.com. If you haven't checked them out already, go visit CougFan.com, sign up for a subscription. They have the latest and greatest, the most detailed information out there that we can find on all things Cougar athletics. You'll be seeing us do a lot more work with CougFan in the future. We have a lot of exciting news coming up. And if you or somebody you know is thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing on the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, or Arizona, make sure to reach out to myself, Connor Webb, the Couch GM, because I'm actually a mortgage broker during the day. It's my goal to help as many sports fans and athletes get into the home of their dreams. There'll be a link in the description of this video to reach out and connect. And Dylan?
Yeah, energy bills, if they're climbing, if you're looking into solar, have thought about it, need some more information on it, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or 661-269-3003. That's my direct cell. Husky fans, please don't blow me up. But yeah, appreciate it.
So as we mentioned, WSU announced the hiring of Elizabeth Cantwell to be their 12th president, their first woman president. She is set to start her duties on April 1st. She is coming off of 1.5 years spent at Utah State University, where she was the president. And digging into her background a bit, she seems like a super genius. Like she went and got a PhD from Cal in mechanical engineering. She has time at multiple high up institutions. I'll get into her background. I found a biography from when she was at Arizona State University. I'm just going to read through this. It's a lot of big words, so prepare yourself. So her bio states that Cantwell is responsible for leading the creation, management, and the capture of large-scale, externally funded programs and projects that advance the university's research enterprise. During her time at ASU, she worked with her board and ASU leadership on a portfolio of institutional-level initiatives and the pursuit of new partnerships and resources to advance those initiatives, including support for applied faculty research with defense and intelligence endpoints. Cantwell is a professor of practice in the IRA Fulton Schools of Engineering and an affiliate of the School for Earth and Space Exploration and the School for the Future of Innovation in Society. Her technical area of focus is human space exploration systems. She came to ASU from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, where she was director for economic development. Cantwell spearheaded a progressive strategy for LLNL to accelerate innovation and enhance national economic competitiveness. Skipping through a little bit, it also states that in her role at ORNL, which is Oak Ridge National Laboratory, she provided strategic leadership to develop business with the United States Department of Energy and the National Nuclear Security Administration, the United States Department of Defense, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the Center for Radiation Detection, and many others. Prior to this, she served as the director for the Threat Reduction Directorate Office of Strategy at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Is it Los Alamos? Is that not Area 51, if I'm not mistaken?
I'm pretty sure.
She worked at Area 51. What?
What the
Cantwell spent a decade at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, where she helped stand up the Homeland Security Organization after 9/11. She spent several years at NASA headquarters as the program manager for the Life and Microgravity Sciences. We were making jokes beforehand. She's dealing with gravity here. Like she's at Area 51, helping the aliens figure out how to keep these things flying in the air. I mean, it's ridiculous.
She was also working with the Stranger Things cast as well.
If you watch to the end of the credits, she's at the very end there. That's the first time that I've read that. That's batshit
Yeah,
crazy.
that's nuts. I mean, she is a smarty pants. A few people online said, well, yeah, no, she's 69 years old. You'd like to see maybe a little bit younger, in that 55, 60 range. But I mean, goodness, reading all that, I think my IQ went up. Um, the biggest thing though is, she was at Utah State for a couple years, obviously. Didn't really skip a beat with Danny Sprinkle leaving the basketball program. They bring in Calhoun, and she said at her introductory press conference that, she's here to make sure that sports are valuable and that sports going to be used to help enrollment rate, which is dropping across schools across the nation. It's not just something that Washington State is dealing with. This is every college that is dealing with enrollment rates right now that are declining across the board. So, your biggest ticket, your biggest, vision is your football team and your basketball team and the other programs that come along with it. So, just judging by what Cougs are saying, and we'll get into that, there's a lot of happy Cougs.
And she was quoted in her brief interview with CougFan on the importance of athletics on a college campus, stating that she's a huge believer. She also said that this is not rocket science. It's not anything secret. It's nothing crazy like she was dealing with in the past. It's pretty straightforward. If you have a good athletic program at your university, you're going to bring in more students. You're going to bring in more funding. You're going to bring in this media deal that the Pac-12 is trying out, and your university is going to be in a better spot overall. Her daughter, Hannah, is also a graduate student at Washington State currently, which is interesting. As I described earlier, Cantwell got a PhD from Cal. And when she was at Utah State for the year and a half that she was there, she helped Utah State, form and join into this new Pac-12 that is currently being built. Now, regarding Utah State, I did a little research into the background of their program. Prior to her taking over at Utah State, the former president was also, there was some drama, let's say, going on at Utah State, and I was reading into it, and there was also some drama when she was there at Utah State. I would encourage you to do your own research and look into that. I'm not exactly sure on the full details, but some people said that there was a toxic culture within the athletics, but it runs deeper than just her. It sounds like there was issues with the university and the program prior to her even coming on board. But some positives from her time at Utah State on top of joining the Pac-12. She fired the Utah State head coach, hired Bronco Mendenhall for $2 million per year to help turn the football program around there. Utah State also launched a $125 million athletics enterprise fundraising initiative, which I'm curious to hear if, Jamey Vinnick has any insight on that.
One quote I found interesting, she told CFC she's been an admirer of Washington State truly for a long time, and added, I sort of resisted the idea for a little bit, but it is just too compelling. You don't get the opportunity to go and work and support a place like this that you have been gazing at for decades. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm incredibly humbled that I'm actually standing here. For me, it's a dream come true. Like we said, her daughter is in a graduate program here at Washington State. So you got to think that's going to make the move a little bit easier for the future president, President Cantwell. So, we'll get into what other Cougs and some bigger time Cougs are saying about her presidency.
And then one other note before you get into that, during her tenure at Utah State, she sponsored research expenditures which reached a record $495 million. Student scholarships in just her year and a half that she were there increased by 10%. And the veterinary medical education building was constructed on campus. So a lot of positives during her just year and a half that she was there.
Article put out, I think a day ago on CougFan, just a sampling of who's saying what, about the new president, and Robbie Tobeck, WSU booster and former Cougar and Seahawks standout. It's exciting to see where new leadership can take us. I've been a closet Utah State fan for a number of years since my son Mason played there, so I'm very familiar with how they have grown their program to now being a PAC member in 2026. They value sports and winning and position themselves to be successful. I believe we will be in a great position under her leadership going forward. Glenn Osterhout, generous father of the current CAF and men's basketball NIL matching campaigns. If you want to keep Lawan Watts here, possibly Cedric Coward and others, get in and start matching. Glenn is fantastic at what he's doing. So props to you, Glenn. He had to say, our new president understands the importance of athletics and the exposure it brings to WSU. Cougs 129 on the CFC VIP suites. Who knows? But like the hire on the surface, was involved with Utah State to Pac-12, so familiar with that. Coming from a place that has institutional support, Utah State has one of the best basketball environments around and replaced Danny Sprinkle and didn't miss a step. One last one from a famous legendary, the throwing Samoan, Jack Thompson. Watched the intro of our 12th president in our 135-year history, and I liked what I saw/heard. Love her background. President Cantwell will fit in great with Cougar Nation. She'll hit the ground running come April 1st, and we'll need her to.
There's currently a 60% off annual VIP membership going on right now at CougFan.com. Make sure to check that out. And with that, let's bring on Jamey Vinnick to talk more about this. Awesome. Jamey, thank you for coming on, sharing some insight on the new president hire at WSU. Let's just hear from you. What are your initial thoughts with the hire and looking into the background of Elizabeth Cantwell?
Yeah, I think it's I think when you look at what she did at Utah State, albeit in a brief time, I mean, you look at getting Bronco Mendenhall hired was a pretty big victory considering, that's a high price coach, and Utah State's not necessarily a school that's always put huge money into athletics. I think obviously the athletic director has more to do with the hiring of a guy like Jared Calhoun as the basketball coach, but the president still has involvement. He hasn't missed a beat as the Aggies head coach. So I think when you look at, the athletics or where Utah State is at, you like that. And then I think you look at, they got into the Pac-12. I mean, this was a school that I think when you look at on the surface, they were not one of the first wave.
Without a doubt.
I think a lot of people were kind of like, okay, is Utah State really going to be a feasible option? And she obviously did enough to present them as that, and got them, to a higher level conference. If you look at their athletic programs the last few years, it's warranted. I mean, they've taken a step back in football, but this is a team that, as Coug fans remember, came into Pullman and won a few years ago and won the Mountain West. I mean, their basketball team has been one of the premier programs in the country, or one of the premier, Mountain West programs for some time now. I mean, you look at what they've done the last few years. It's about to be 3 straight tournaments, assuming that they do get in this year, which, 20-3, I would think so. And, again, it's not like she's the athletic director or the head basketball coach, but, I think when you look in the very short term of what she was able to do at Utah State, again, when you look at Mendenhall, you look at Calhoun, you look at the way that Utah State has really begun to up their investment in athletics, evidenced by the Pac-12 or by joining the Pac-12, I think there's a lot to like.
Can you speak to the $125 million athletics enterprise that she helped at Utah State? It's a fundraising initiative that they have going on there. I don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah, I think it's something that certainly speaks positives. I think to get, again, that kind of effort at Utah State, if you can get that from Washington State, that's going to go a long way into, the NIL side of things. And especially now with Wazoo officially partnered with the collective, there's a lot of positives from that as well. And I think it shows signs, because what's the biggest thing that Wazoo needs to do is continue to fund for athletics. And that's obviously proven challenging the last couple of years with the Pac-12 implosion. And of course, with the issues that have been, kind of highlighted or outlined with the way Kirk Schultz's tenure is going to conclude. So I think that to me shows a true interest in helping to boost the athletics. Again, Schultz always said he was an athletic, type president. He wanted to, promote athletics. But, I think as John Canzano kind of unveiled in the last few weeks, maybe that was true for a while, but it wasn't true by the end. And it, cost Wazoo dearly. And I think the hope is that, Cantwell's words won't ring hollow, and that she'll be very much proactive in these same things, to where, who knows, if Cantwell's the president a couple of years ago, does Wazoo get an invite to a bigger conference? I don't know. It's hard to say, that the challenges are still there. But again, I think it says something that she was able to get Utah State into a conference that, historically is probably above where you'd consider Utah State. So it just, the donations that she was putting together for Utah State and the money, it suggests to me a true interest and desire to help boost athletics.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you put up, Jamie, because honestly, I think a lot of us, I mean, I'm asking you guys, when it was announced Utah State was added, I kind of was like, what? You know, like it kind of was a little bit of a curveball, but you kind of dig into it a little bit more and you can kind of see, maybe some light at the end of the tunnel with that program moving forward over the next 15 to 20 years. What does it say about just the amount of high level education that she's been a part of and high level stuff that peons like myself and Connor have really no idea about, and how she's going to be able to now just kind of focus on just a university aspect as opposed to these bigger things. We've seen maybe she was at Area 51. I mean, there's some crazy things that she's got in her
at Los Alamos. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, she's worked in, heavily in research at Arizona and Arizona State, and is at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in Livermore, California, which does a lot of Department of Energy and national security. So I think there's certainly some interest in her academic background as well, and kind of what she's bringing to the table. And I think I think it's going to be first impressions a good fit. I think again she's maybe a little quote unquote unproven in the president role just because she hasn't been Utah State's president for all that long, but she's someone who has West Coast ties, who is connected in the West Coast, and that's never a bad thing.
And like she was quoted saying about the importance of athletics at the college campus, she's a huge believer. This is not rocket scientists. It makes sense that, hey, if you invest in your athletic program, that's going to bring in more revenue. And then backing up a little bit with the news of the Cougar Collective officially being a part of Washington State, what does that exactly mean? Is the end goal to have universities helping fund the players actually coming and staying on campus?
I think that's probably a part of it for sure. I think it simplifies, the way that the two can be tied in, because obviously the Wazoo athletic programs have worked with the collective, but it's been more of, hey, we need you to do X, Y, and Z to come up with numeral X for player X. This can be a little more just straightforward on the books. It doesn't have to kind of go through this, that, the other. They can basically say, hey, we're recruiting this kid. We can talk in partnership, quote unquote, on opportunities. It's still not pay for play, no matter what the SEC might think, but they can work to present opportunities. And just the way that my understanding is so far with the way Jimmy Rogers is going to do things is it's going to be earned. I mean, he's not going to, go. He's not. It's a lot of what Jake Dicker did. He's not going to go start paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for 4-star high school recruits, because say that kid comes in and can't play, then you've wasted that money. And I think at a place like Washington State, where you have to be more calculated with how you use that money, it's going to go to the guys. I think it's going to be focused on roster retention, and it's going to go to the guys that have proven themselves. At Oregon, you can go spend $1 million on a high school kid. Oh, he doesn't pan out. No worries. He's got another however many million available. You don't have that at Washington State. You go spend $200,000 on an 18-year-old prospect that doesn't pan out. That money's gone. You're not, you don't suddenly, refill that with ease. So I think it's going to help. It's going to help a lot of, I think, the efforts to retain players, just because the coach and the collective can work together in a tandem and say, okay, whoever it is, I mean, John Mateer, this is the offer, et cetera. And it wasn't, that they didn't put a good offer together for Mateer. It's just Oklahoma offered way more. But, some of the guys that maybe in the past few years they haven't been able to put enough money on the table for, or there hasn't been enough, of an offer, communication, whatever you want to call it. I think this will eliminate a lot of those issues.
One thing we heard with President Schultz, and okay, hey, what's going on with Beasley? Are they going to renovate it? Or are they going to go maybe down like the Idaho route? I'm not saying the same size as Idaho's building, but a lot can argue that maybe there should be a 6,000 to 8,000 cap on capacity in Pullman as opposed to your 12,000 seat Beasley. And, President Schultz kind of, parlayed this big move and allocation to that next president that's coming in. How fast do you see our new president attacking the basketball program and the stadium renovation?
Yeah, it's certainly a good question. And I think you do, I think it is a legitimate issue of, 12,000. They're just not feeling that. I mean, they were on the cusp of potentially winning the Pac-12 last year, hosting Washington, and they drew 9,000, which is great. 9,000 is awesome. That is a fantastic crowd in Pullman. It's a fantastic crowd at Cameron.
At Pauley, yeah.
Yeah, that is a great crowd. That's 3,000 more than the kennel seats. Now, granted, if you opened up another 3,000 seats, yes, I believe the kennel would get to 9,000. But it was I think 9,311. I just went and looked at that. That's 3 less than what Duke seats.
Wow.
So, but that's still not even close to a sellout. And you're not going. I mean, that is the biggest game at Beasley in, I don't know, 15 years since Bennett. I mean,
yeah,
and they still weren't able to get to 12,000. I think eventually, yes, you're going to have to pare down the amount of seats, and how you do that, I'm not sure. I don't think I know for a fact that in terms of the Cougar Athletic Funds and the big projects, I know Beasley's on the list, but I also know I think the locker room in the football building is more of the priority. So I do think eventually you're going to have to get down. I think eventually the goal is probably, try and make it smaller. Now, I don't think you're going to see a whole new building. I don't think you're going to see a situation like with Idaho where they put in the brand new arena. But I do think that there is a place for where, let's, maybe take out some seats. Let's find a way to condense this a little bit more so that there is, it's an 8,000 seat arena. It's a 9,000 seat arena. And, when you're rolling, you can really actually feel that thing, because the fact of the matter is 12,000, you're just not going to get that. I mean, unless you're suddenly a top 5 team playing on a Saturday against Washington or against Gonzaga, we'll go with, it's just not going to happen. I think it'd be interesting to see what the number is next week when they do play Gonzaga, or 2 weeks when they play Gonzaga, because it's a weekday. Obviously, the team hasn't been playing very well, but there's still, it'll be curious to see. It's a good barometer, a good litmus test of how much is a Gonzaga Wazoo game going to draw in an ordinary year, in a year where maybe Wazoo isn't great, but is there still enough allure with Gonzaga? And then maybe even base it off of, okay, this is how many we're going to get for Gonzaga. That's probably about where our capacity should be.
Just kind of tagging off real quick. Basketball team 13-3. Everybody, myself included, was saying, okay, let's restructure Riley and get this thing going. Since then, they're 15-10 right now. So I think they're 2-8 since they started out as 13-3. I mean, Jamey, you cover this team nightly. Has it just been, okay, the injuries and the rotation have finally caught up? Because there's, I think teams see, all right, we can get Eric Strupp and one other guy in foul trouble and they're screwed. I mean, what have you seen over this last 10-game stretch?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, look, you don't want to use injuries as an excuse, but here's what I would say. Look at Kyle Smith's first season. What does that look like if CJ Ellaby gets hurt in November? That's essentially what you're dealing with. We saw what happened to that team when Bonton got hurt. And Bonton that year was their clear number 2 behind Ellaby in terms of, efficiency, talent. I mean, Ellaby was drafted and played in the NBA. That's basically what they're dealing with no Cedric Coward. And yes, the Pac that year in Kyle's first year is a much stronger conference. With or without Cedric Coward, you should not lose to Pacific whatsoever. But I think what happened is they won those games against Nevada and Boise State and in San Francisco, and it really kind of got the excitement going of hey, we can still do something here without Coward. But it has just changed the entire calculus of the season. It's not just your best player. It's your leader, and we've seen how much of an issue that has been the last few weeks, where they crumble. They don't have the mental fortitude, the technical fouls. I actually would say last night was probably the best, the most resilient they've been in weeks. Where I mean,
Yeah.
they easily could have folded when the fouls were 19-6 or whatever, just that ridiculous margin was. They actually played hard and played through, which I thought was a good sign. Last night I think was frustrating because they did just about everything right. They shot the ball fairly well. They didn't turn it over. They didn't rebound well, and they dealt with a pretty brutal whistle. Otherwise, they probably win that game. So I think the leadership has played a big role, and I kind of think back to the Michael Flowers team, where they were, I think, 14-12 and 7-8, and the biggest issue for them all year was they just didn't have that guy. They thought it was going to be Noah Williams. That obviously didn't happen. Flowers just wasn't that assertive personality that was going to kind of take over the game the way a Bonton would. The way last year when you needed the bucket, game on the line, there's one of three guys that you can trust, whether it's Miles, Jalen, or Isaac. They don't necessarily have that guy, and it's not for a lack of talent because Nate and Lawan especially are really good players. There's a different mental makeup to those guys. They're still very, I don't want to say mentally immature, but they're emotional players. There's highs and there's lows. I
peaks
think
and valleys.
Exactly. What made last year's team so effective? There were no peaks. There were with Miles a little bit, but there were no peaks and valleys with Jalen Wells and Isaac Jones, at least in terms of their mental makeup. Yeah, they had their off games. They had their great games, but those guys were so even keeled. The problem is now your two primary offensive weapons are very emotional players, and that's good. It's good to have that, but you haven't had that leadership, that veteran presence. I think Price has tried. It just doesn't come naturally to him. I think Isaiah's tried, but again, he's still young. He's still an emotional player. To me, if you have Coward and you have that leadership, I think you're looking at a different season. I don't think the Pacific games happen. Do they win some of these other games? It's hard to say. They don't lose by 30 to Santa Clara. I'm confident in saying that. I don't think they barely survive San Diego. They probably, maybe they win last night. Maybe they beat St. Mary's. And I point to that St. Mary's game, and with the game on the line, you go Marshallonis to Saxon. Well, those are two guys who've been playing together for years. Wazoo doesn't have that. That's the art of the experience and the continuity and the maturity. And it looked like a broken play where Marshallonis throws it up, but that's a design play. That's two guys who just know each other. So I think I don't think you can give Riley a full mulligan. The last few weeks haven't been good enough, and he knows that. He's said as much. But I do think you have to put in perspective that this season drastically changed without Coward, and this wasn't a situation where you just have to replace him. You can't. When you built this roster, you didn't have a second Cedric Coward because there just isn't a second Cedric Coward. He's that type of player and that type of leader.
Jamey, I know, and I wish we had Jalen Wells with us this season. CougFan, though, next weekend, Friday, Rising Stars Challenge at the Chase Center. Our own Jalen Wells, who arguably, in my opinion, and there might be a little bias here, but I think he's the #1 rookie of the year at the moment. So, Jamey, I wanted to appreciate you jumping on, talking the new presidency and a little Cougar basketball with us. Thank you very much.
Happy to do it anytime.
All right, Angel, thank you for coming on the podcast. Excited to hear a bit of your story on how you got out to the Palouse here in Pullman. Let's start with your current experience. You've been out there for a couple of weeks now. How's the life out in Pullman?
It's been good, like I kind of joke around and talk to some of my other teammates that came from South Dakota. It's real similar, like the scenery is a little different, a little more like open, not a lot, but it's similar in the fact that the people make it what it is. I feel like just being around the people I've been around so far in the town, I can just tell that like it's one of those places where like the people really do make it what it is, and I'm excited to see what it's like come season 2.
Where's colder?
Right now, it's been here, but typically South Dakota.
Okay.
But what's the team chemistry like right now? I know there's like somewhere around 15 guys that have come over from South Dakota. What's the environment been like?
It feels like we've been here before. I feel like everyone's been accepting of it. Everyone getting to know the guys, getting closer. A lot of dudes we work out, get extra work in, and it's been good.
What have you seen from Zevi so far in terms of maybe just hanging out with him off of the football field, practice-wise, tape-wise?
Off the field, he a little goofy. I'm still getting to know him a little bit, but I could tell though just from the few times we've had player-led stuff and different workouts and stuff, and you could tell he's just like a natural leader, and that's what you want at the quarterback position. He works hard, and I'm excited to get to play with him this season.
And we'll get into your story a bit, but I'm curious, with Jimmy Rogers and him coming over, what his pitch to guys were and what his message right now to the team is as he was trying to keep everyone inside the building.
Oh, no doubt. I know to me, like, it was just one that he's like, Angel, you know what you get with me, with the type of guy, because, like, with Rogers, he tells it to you straight. He's going to back up what he says, he's going to do what he says, and he's not going to lie to you. And that's big for me, like, especially college football. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that can come with transferring, and you just want to be at a place where you're comfortable and where you feel like you're wanted and feel like, you're heard and respected and everything. And as far as like his message to the team, it's kind of like, why not us? Like we didn't come here to lose. Like we have the mindset that we can do what we want to do if we all buy in, and because like why not us? You feel me?
And with you guys coming in, a lot of you guys have won 2 national championships already at the FCS level. So you guys have that confidence, and how excited are you to be able to take this to the FBS level and see if you can replicate those results?
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm excited, but it definitely is we had guys that did win at that level, but it's gonna take everybody. Just take everyone buying in. It's all new for everyone. That's why like the first few weeks just been important getting to know everybody. But I'm excited. We come from a winning culture, and I'm with the coaching staff that we have. I'm just excited to try to keep this thing going.
I'm really interested. I'm in the San Diego area. Robbie Rouse, all-time leading rusher at Fresno State, did a lot of recruiting here in the state of California when he was during his Cal Poly days, and then comes up to South Dakota State. What were your first, reactions or thoughts of Coach Rouse when you guys first met? A few years ago on campus, and he became your running backs coach.
Man, I was just like, who is that? At first, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of people, and I know an old running back too, he's just like, is that like a new student or something? Just based off his stature. But I know he's not gonna like that. He gonna laugh a little bit. But no, what I really noticed right away is just how in tune he is. He has a lot of just natural energy that he brings that energy in the tent every day that it's almost like contagious. Like you want to be around that type person. But he's very in tune with everything. He's made me a better player, helped me focus more, be more in tune, locked in with little details. Like that's what I really noticed right away. Just his attention to detail and just that natural energy that he brings every day.
Let's throw it back to your upbringing and how you got to this spot where you are today. You're a South Dakota kid yourself. Can you help me pronounce what city you grew up in? Is it Viborg, South Dakota?
Viber.
Viborg. Okay, so you grew up in Viborg. You played throughout high school. How did you end up at South Dakota State? And walk me through that journey.
So yeah, I actually I played 9-man football back in high school. We played 9-man, and it was going up until like my junior year. My junior year, we were playing in the state championship, and normally, because we had 2 schools in South Dakota, we have South Dakota State, and then we have University of South Dakota (USD). And normally, when it comes to championship, they have you play indoors because it's cold. You play in the dome, but it was during the time of the dome was being worked on, so we played our state championship game up in Brookings, and that's kind of how it all kind of sparked off and started off for me. I remember I had a touchdown that game running towards the coach's office and towards like what was called the student athlete center. And I know after that game, that's when my phone started kind of blowing up a little bit and coaches reaching out to me. And they were really one of the first ones to show love for real out of all these schools. I wasn't heavily recruited or anything like that. So
Yeah, and then you get there to South Dakota. Walk me through those first few years. You redshirt the year. Just looking at your stats, redshirt sophomore year, you're averaging like 8.9 yards per carry. Obviously, you had a ton of success. In your last year at South Dakota, averaging 7.1 yards per carry. So walk me through your time at South Dakota.
yeah, no doubt. It was a little adjustment at first, registering that first year, learning a lot, and then really just trying to make the most of the opportunities. I had a lot of good guys in front of me at the time, so it was a lot of just staying patient. every year I've been there, we had NFL caliber running back. So it was just good to stay patient, learn from them, adjust to the new coaches that we had coming in and out because we did have some new coaches over the time. But I feel like I kind of started to hit my stride when Ross came in and kind of helped make me a better player, and then started to go from there.
Did you play any other sports growing up in high school or maybe just growing up besides football?
Yeah, I played basketball and I did track.
Okay. What you like about track? What's like, because I know, is that typically after football season or before football season?
It's after. It'll be
After.
in the spring. It'll be in the spring. Yeah. With track, at first, it always started as just like our coach always pushed, if you're gonna play football, you're gonna do track. Just to be doing something and staying in shape and to get faster ultimately. But when it came to track, I started to kind of hit my stride. I like doing jumping events. I like the sprints and the relays, and it was just another sport to be in with my guys at the time. A small town and small school, so you kind of did everything. So
And excuse me if I don't have the stats in front of me, but I believe you did some sort of returning at San Diego State. Was it punt return or kick return?
oh, at South Dakota State, yeah, I did. I did kick return.
Is that something that you're hoping to continue here at Washington State?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I feel like whatever way I can help the team, I'm open to anything. Uh, I had fun doing kick returns. I enjoyed that last year, so I have no problem doing that again this year.
Take us through the mind of being a returner and seeing 21 behemoths running as fast as they can down the field trying to tackle you.
See, I ain't gonna lie, that's my thing because the way we break it down each week, we have our certain returns that we want to run. We kind of scheme them up and know where we kind of want the return to hit. So I really can't look at everybody. I kind of look at I got to try to set up my blocks. I got my read keys, and then I kind of go from there. From the big picture scheme of things, like you see a lot of people, you're like, yeah, that's a lot of dudes. But I kind of key in about a couples, know where the return is supposed to hit, depending on what we call that week or what we call that moment, and it kind of just go from there.
That's actually really interesting to kind of just hear the inside of like kick return, because when you're looking at us two, we've got no idea, the inner workings of that. So I know fans are going to find that interesting, and that's, hey, more power to you guys. I don't think you could pay me to do that.
No, I ain't gonna lie. Like when you're watching it from a fan perspective, it is crazy. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be on that unit, but no, it's really it looks a little more crazy than it is. But we just try to break it down and lock into a few things and set up the return, set up the blocks, and hope for the best.
And then back-to-back national championships, 2022, 23. You guys make it to the playoffs again. There was 100% retention heading into this last season. Just walk me through, what it's like to get sized for a ring, what the environment is like when you're running it back with that same squad, and then the thoughts coming into this last season before you eventually transferred.
That was kind of like a Cinderella story, kind of like just picture perfect moments. That very first one, I know, like we won that first one, and it was just like a big relief, weight off our shoulders. The excitement, the energy, everyone was, it was crazy. I remember the confetti falling. That was a great moment, just to feel like, regardless of your role on the team, just to feel like the work had paid off, and like just to know we finally did it and we reached the top. And then coming into that second year, we had that confidence, had that swagger, like, we're gonna do this thing again, and that's what happened. So I'll definitely say that first year felt, unbelievable feeling. But that second year is like it was more of a we expected to do it type of mindset. And don't take me wrong, like don't get it wrong, it still felt great. But that second year, it's not like that first time, Like so that part was a little different, but it was exciting. Very blessed. Getting fitted for a ring was kind of cool. I remember they called us up to the office. You had to pick which finger you wanted on. So you had to get fitted. And then doing it the second time around, I was like, okay, which finger do I want it on this time? Do I want to keep it on the right, the left? I actually don't remember what finger I got fitted for. I just kind of try, put it on, see what fits. But
Make a necklace out of them.
yeah,
Or
that
you could do
too.
the Brady. The Brady's were always pretty cool.
Right. I know. So it was getting to the point, getting fitted for rings. It was fun. So yeah.
Okay, so I want to kind of jump forward to this year. Season ends. Coach Rogers, he gets accepted, hired here at Washington State, and now you get to be in this new era where, personally, Connor and I are fully behind the players having, their own way, and realizing like, hey, it's your recruitment, whatever it may be. But what was it like to go through a recruitment process and kind of see where is going to be the next best spot and situation for you as a player?
Yeah, no doubt. It was when it first came time to enter the transfer portal and everything, it was a little stressful, a lot going on. You get different opportunities at different places. You kind of got to weigh the pros and cons and see what's best for you. But for me, it came down to having 1 year left. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be somewhere that's even more of a change for me and a lot that I don't know, or do I kind of just look at the situation that I'm in and think how blessed I really am to go up to the next level, but then to also have the coaches that you did it with. So ultimately, like, slept on it, prayed on it, and ultimately that was the decision for me. Just being with the coaches and the people that I trust, knowing that I know what I'm gonna get out of these people, and with having 1 year, it just outweighed all the other what ifs. It was just the best decision for me.
Did you take an official visit in the Knoxville, Tennessee by chance?
No, I never did. That's actually I get asked that all the time, but I never
So
took a
fake
visit
news.
there. No, it wasn't fake. It was
Okay.
it wasn't a fake news or anything like that. I was I was considering it, but I never took a visit there. No.
Okay. Because you had Coug Nation doing jumping jacks when they thought that they beat out Tennessee. So
Yeah, right.
that's why we asked the question. We just wanted to
No.
get it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, no doubt. They were like, I would just be honest with you, like, it was something I had thought about reaching out to me and everything like that. But ultimately, it felt better to be here, and I just trusted my coaches. And having 1 year left, I just feel like it's the best fit for me.
But that goes
Who-
back to the player empowerment. I mean, it's such a breath of fresh air to where the sport was 5 to 10 years ago. And yes, it is a wild, wild west, but the main thing is that the players can handle things, and you guys are empowering yourselves as well. So it's good to see.
No doubt, I agree. I feel like I do like that part of it and that aspect. Just because, like, you got to do what's best for yourself at the end of the day too. Like, um, I feel like this was best for me, so that's what I did. So, but it's definitely to any player out there. You just kind of got to look at your situation, look what's best for you, and just trust your gut.
Now, growing up and current, what guys were you watching on tape? NFL, college. Who would you compare yourself to in running style? Walk us through your playing style a bit.
Okay, so growing up, I was a Vikings fan, so I liked
Okay.
AP,
There we go.
but I wouldn't compare my running style to AP. Some guys I like to watch Jameer Gibbs, Dalvin Cook. I feel like it's probably more similar to my running style. That speedier type back, but can be efficient out the backfield too. I've been my coach has helped me be a better mid zone runner, outside zone, helping me with my patience on power and counter, running in between the tackles. But I feel like probably more like a Jameer Gibbs, Dalvin Cook, James Cook type back.
All right, here's the better question. NCAA football 25 came back and unfortunately didn't have the FCS rosters or teams. But now
Yeah.
NCAA 26 is going to come out and it's going to have Angel Johnson on it. I want to hear what you think your speed should be, the overall. What's the catching out of the backfield? Give us what you think the game should be doing for you.
Man, that's crazy. I don't know because I've seen the game. Like, I played the game. I can't lie. I played college football 25, obviously. But
Same.
you see some players on there, like, like, you think like, well, he's not really like that fast in the game, or he's not whatever. Personally, I just hope, they get my speed right. I hope my speed is like 93, 94,
Ooh!
really 95. I'm hoping 95 speed, but hope my speed's right. For overall, I can't lie. I don't even know overall. Yeah,
Don't
I
worry
gotta
about the
see.
speed.
Yeah, speed on my speed right. Hope they give me a decent. I don't even know like a decent catch rating. I want to be able to play if I use myself in a game. Be like, damn, like catch the ball. I don't want to be like that. You feel me? So, uh, but really, yeah, hope that speed rating is right. I'm really just excited to be in the game. I know I got my little brother. He always texts me, and that was one of the first things that we had kind of talked about. He was so geeked up because he's like, "Wazoo, you're gonna be in the game and
Oh
everything."
man,
Let's go.
So,
that's
no,
so
I'm just
awesome.
excited to be in the game.
How old is your brother? Your younger brother?
He's 16. He just turned 16.
Okay, so he's right in the he's got that controller in his hands. He's
All
ready
right.
to go.
No, he's ready. He's already. I know right now he went and changed his favorite team on the game to Wazoo already, just so he has that Wazoo background and everything.
I
But
love it. And last year too, the game, they had like 3 separate spots where they did updates because at first our old boy Mateer had like 77 speed and he ended with 88. So
right,
just remember, they'll find you.
no doubt, and that's another thing too. I was thinking because updates will happen. I know with the season that some players had, they definitely got the upgrades that they needed or whatever happened. So starting off, I just whatever they give me, they give me. But hopefully, with the season how it goes, just get upgrades as needed.
I got one more thing. Talking about your 7.1 yards per carry this last season. Are you looking for the contact? Are you trying to juke guys? And then also off of that, with South Dakota's offensive scheme, how would you say that? What can we expect from the offense?
No doubt. As far as looking for contact and juking guys, a lot of times I'm trying to make the play. Considering the situation, if it's third and short, you look for contact. You just got to get the first down. But those first and 10, second and 10s, you're trying to make the play. A lot of times it ends up juking guys, not inviting contact, but contact is something that is just a part of the game at the same time. So if it appears, it appears. It's nothing to lower your shoulder if you have to. But I say a lot of times though, I am trying to break tackles, juke guys, and really just go from there. But as far as our offense, you expect us to run the ball, expect us to open up the pass game. We got some good receivers, and I'm excited for that. We're gonna run the ball well, pass the ball well, and take our shots when we need to.
Angel, one last thing. Do you have any nicknames on the field?
No, I don't have a nickname.
Okay.
I don't know. They really a lot of times they just call me 2-1. This is my number.
Okay.
I'm number 21. That's probably the one I get the most. But I don't have any cool nicknames. Maybe I'll get one this year. I don't know.
Hey, never know.
But
There you go. Well, Angel, really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this season. Looking forward to seeing you out there. Spring ball starting up soon. Again, appreciate your time. Go Cougs.
yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angel, man. Good luck this season, and we're really looking forward to watching you out there.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.